It's business tip time. Whether it's marketing, sales, operations, etc., I'm bringing you quick tips across a variety of topics to help elevate your business. Let's get it. Hello, friends. We are back with Aaron George. If you didn't listen to our very interesting interview yesterday, all about buying businesses that are up and running already, make sure to go do that. He has a great entrepreneurial story as well. So today we are diving into a business tip. So Aaron, you are a director of a national sales team for one of the leading IT and DevOps data platforms in the world. Tell us, how do you go about building a go-to-market strategy, and what is some of the best advice that you've come across in order to do so?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks so much. Happy to be back. And I think, when it comes to go-to-market strategy is really one of the most critical things you can do as an entrepreneur when you're first starting out. Because one of the things that you can do, and you'll find out very quickly, is you can spend your time in any number of ways. And so many of those ways are not really going to move the needle for you. So the best way to do that is to sort of create your target market and figure out how you want to go and reach those people. So the first thing that I would say, the most tactical thing I could tell you, is start talking and interviewing people that you think would want to buy your product, and before you actually build or go out and try to sell it. And start asking them questions like, hey, is it fair to say that you might like to purchase this kind of product in the future? If so, what's important to you about this product? What is the problem that you want to solve? What are the things that you don't like about the products that might be out there today? And then just kind of start gathering feedback, and you sort of write that feedback down. And what you'll notice is if you go out and you do some of these interviews, you'll notice patterns start to emerge, and you might find that maybe there's a particular demographic of your audience that maybe resonates with what you want to build better than another. And so what that does is that sort of informs your approach and says, okay, well, if the demographic that really resonates with what I want to build or what I have built is, married families aged 30 to 50, then it becomes really easy for me to then build a strategy around, okay, well, how do I go find those people? And there's really easy ways to do that today, because obviously there's groups, there's Facebook advertising allows you to really target in. You've got Google advertising that allows you to target into these things, and so that becomes very easy. But the first thing is you just need to understand what the market actually wants, and you do that by asking. So that's number one. And then from there, don't be afraid to try new things and to break rules. And I'll just give you one story from my personal experience. When I first got to one of the large companies that I worked for in the past, I was told that I was walking into a territory that couldn't be sold, and it wasn't a good territory, and there wasn't anything that you could really do to be successful. And they were right, because they were selling wrong. And so what I did was I completely ripped up everything that the company gave me that said, you need to go sell this way. And I started to understand that there was a different value that the customer was getting from my product than what the company said was the value. So I reoriented my entire approach to that one specific point of value, and I exploded that territory into the largest producing territory in the company, just by reorienting my go-to-market strategy. Right. So don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to test things. Right. And that means validating with the customers, validating with value, what's valuable to them. How can I make this product more valuable? These are great questions to be asking who you feel like your target audience is.
So I have a follow-up question to that. Let's say that you're launching a business. So I'm launching a virtual masterclass with a business partner this January, basically to teach people business foundations, because there's a pretty big knowledge gap there. Mm-hmm. How do you go about when you're kind of beta-ing something and you are testing it? Do you give those first customers maybe some kind of special perks? Like what thoughts do you have there if you're starting from scratch?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can do what's called a tranche model, or a mezzanine model, and essentially what that means is that you sort of give your early adopters preferential treatment as far as what you're offering, maybe the price, maybe it's different bonuses that you provide along the way. And then once you feel like you've gotten to a critical mass of those early adopters, you sort of move to the next level of your customer. And maybe you don't offer them quite as much, but still want to give them a ton of value. And you can kind of do that and build out as you go. So for the customer, it's a win-win because you actually are providing them with a reason to invest in you early before you become the next, you name it, person on the stage, Stephen Covey or Tony Robbins or whoever it might be. And because they've been with you, they become a very loyal customer base. And they start, and you're constantly giving them value, you're constantly adding value. But then at one point in time, you say, okay, well, if I want to increase the profits of the company, I'm going to tweak that offering just a little bit and I'm going to go out to the next. But because I have more brand recognition, people will be more willing to purchase from me without quite so much in the package. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. So it's really sort of like creating a strong foundation. And it sounds like people really are buying you at that point too, and like your vision, right?
Yes. Yeah, they definitely are, buying you. They're definitely buying your vision, but also, don't forget they're coming to you for a specific reason. And if they feel like what you're offering is more than maybe what someone else might be offering in a similar product, if you can just give them more for a similar price, or maybe you package it in a different way that sort of imputes more value into the offering, then oftentimes you'll find that you can start pulling those customers over who might be trying to decide between a couple of courses to take or what have you.
So, so another follow-up question then to this, how important do you think it is to have really great testimonials from those early adopters in order to bring over larger customers, or the customers are going to be paying more later on?
Yeah. Testimonials are great, but you can't force testimonials.
Totally.
So in the beginning, because you don't have social proof, you might not have 5,000 five-star ratings, or you might not have a bunch of people on your website saying how great you are. The value of the offer really drives the conversion. As you gain more of that and people are, your product actually works and people say this is great, and maybe they write to you and say how much they admire it, or maybe you're on a webinar and they make a comment and you say, hey, can I grab that as a blurb and put it on my website? Are you okay with that? And you start to gather that. Then again, you'll notice it's sort of like rolling a ball up a hill a little bit. And then at some point it's going to hit the peak, and then it will start going the other direction. It gets a lot easier to convert customers. That social proof is really big, but you can't fake it because people do see through it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It needs to be authentic and like legitimate, or people, they just know.
Exactly.
Let's see. Any final thoughts then? So whether you're starting a business or you have an existing one and you really need to kind of either reboot or start from scratch that go to market, what final pieces of advice do you have?
Yeah. So final thoughts would be always be looking 12 months over the horizon. Where you are today. If you've got new competitors coming into the marketplace where you are, and maybe they've got a different offering, maybe you're seeing that they've got more functionality, more capability, they're offering different things, and your business is fine today, but 12 months from now, ask yourself, if everything keeps going exactly the same and they get as much exposure as I do, are my sales going to suffer because this new competitor's in the marketplace with a different offering? And if the answer is yes, then it's time to change your approach. Right. And so you always want to be ahead of the curve, because it's much easier to do that than it is to find yourself where your revenue is dropping off a cliff because you've got somebody coming in and disrupting your business and then trying to turn it around from there.
Well, and I think too, just given our professional expertise where we used to work, like we saw all the time, people who didn't pivot would get disrupted. I mean, we worked with the disruptors. So I think that that's great advice.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on again. I have so enjoyed interviewing you, and I wish that I could have worked for you longer than 2 days. I feel like I missed out.
Exactly. Well, this has been a great experience. Thanks so much. I really appreciate this, and happy to come back anytime.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Aaron.
All right. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If today's episode added value to your life in some way, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with someone who needs this. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram and hear how the show has inspired you. So tag me or slide into the DMs. Find me at Corporate Dropout Official or Alacia Citro. That's ALESSIACITRO and 2 underscores. Until next time, remember that you're a badass. Stay focused, stay hungry, and dare to drop out.